To started.
Might want to turn that down.
All right,
I'm gonna turn it down.
all right, Councilman Hummel is gonna go turn down the volume. We will wait and watch him walk. Yeah, it's still a little. We updated, but. All right, so let's go ahead and today's Thursday, March 7th, 2024. Man, time is flying. We're gonna open up our work session for the town of North Beach. As always, a pledge of allegiance. Stacy, you can start. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Didn't mean to kick it at you. Public comment guidelines. Is there anybody online that would like to type in something? If not, we will keep rolling. Perfect. Yes, and she sent that to all of us. I did respond. Paul, I fixed yours. Your .org was messed up, so I re-forwarded it to you.
A lot of them are.
Wait, I
Okay, never mind. Okay,
I wasn't on there either, so.
I noticed a small error.
all right. It's in board docs, guys. I apologize. Only one that got kicked back to me was Paul's.
It has dashes.
Yeah.
whatnot, so-
Okay. Okay. Well, it's in there. The public comment is not about tonight, but it is in there and you can see my response because I did email. If not, then we will communicate. We're going to move right into the bike path repair. A year or so ago, we started noticing the bike path crumbling. So between Phil and DB, they would put gravel in it, they would paint it, they would cone it, they would block it, they would do everything. And then we got to the point where it's just really, and it's from the past amounts of flooding that we had. It's pretty wild, the grooves that the flooding has done underneath the bike path. So we were blessed enough as a town. Last year we got a grant to fix it. And so RFP went out, they had a pre-bid meeting, and then we had 5 individuals to apply. And that's what we're going to discuss tonight. So tonight we're discussing, ask all your questions. If you forget something, email DB. But, and then next week we need you to vote on it because we really want to get it done before Phil has his 125,000 friends show up. All right, DB, I'm going to turn it over to you.
That many friends. No.
You do now.
Well, as the mayor said, and y'all know, we put out an RFP for the bike path. In the bike path RFP, we had a detailed drawing of the area that we were looking at. We gave dimensions. And then Phil was there, Stacy's there. We also had an on-site mandatory pre-bid meeting for the job. We had, like I say, 5 or 6 contractors came out. 5 put in quotes for the job, put in bids on the job. And the bids that came in, to say the least, is probably the most interesting numbers that came back that I've seen for bids for a long time. We had a range on the bids from $31,435 to $205,125. We had 5 unit price items on there. We figured that would make it easier for them to bid so we could pay them for what they put in. That was explained at the pre-bid meeting. You know, we said, we're not sure exactly. It might be 6 feet tall. Shoring that we're going to put in might be 8 feet tall. But in the pre-bid, we said, you know, plan on your numbers on 8 foot tall sheeting. When we drive the first pieces, we'll know, you know, if we need to go deeper, less, or whatever. That way, when it comes time for payment, we'll measure what you put in, you'll get paid on what you put in. We kind of did that for all the items. I thought it was pretty straightforward. But like I said, the numbers came back all over the place. So that made me look at every bid that came in. And when I started looking at the bids, the one that was the $31,000 bid, I had a few concerns with that. And I'd give you all an example. They have, like, item number 1 is asphalt removal and disposal. It's approximately 800 square feet of asphalt they're going to have to take up for the bike path and then replace all that. But they have on their unit price $3 And that's to remove it, which is gonna have to be done, a lot of it by hand, because you can't get with so big a machine to the bike path, put it on a truck or do whatever and haul it away. And to me, that number sounds pretty cheap. They were $3. We had other numbers come in. One was $10 a square foot. One was $12.50. We did have one that came in at $6.40, so that's 50% more, but $6.40 is, they were in that range. But then we had one that came in, it was also $60 a square foot. So that's why I was saying this is kind of a weird, I don't understand what the estimator saw in there. So that was one thing that concerned me there. I just don't know if you can even dispose of the asphalt for that price. The next item on there was backfill material, and it was in cubic feet. So I called the guy to make sure he didn't think it was cubic yards, but he said, no, we understood it's cubic feet. So on his bid document, he put 20 cubic feet. During the pre-bid meeting, we went out, we showed them they had utilities there. We had a water line there, and we have the main power line that's feeding the Welcome Center. So if you dig up test pit that area, which is only not even as big as this table, and then you have to put the CR6, 20 cubic feet probably wouldn't do that much. So the bike path's 150 feet long. We're kind of anticipating having to put a foot or 2 feet wide all the way down the path to shore it up. So I was estimating in my mind 200 cubic feet, but he's low bid, but if he's at $200 per cubic foot. So if he goes over that table size area, then for every cubic foot, actually we put 100 cubic feet in there, he's at $20,000. So that makes his bid jump up real quick. So that kind of concerns me, because I know it's going to take, upward of 150. Every other bidder put in the quantities between 150 to, one of them was even high as 750. And I also called that bidder, and he said, well, 702 cubic feet. And he was concerned if he had to go down and dig out if he run into rock or some bad material, have to take that out to get the sheeting in right, and then you'd have to backfill that. So he said he'd rather be covering himself. He put in 700 cubic feet to make sure he was covered. But we had unit prices on that from $14, $3.45, $125, and $155. So don't ask me. I'm still kind of scratching to see how that was such a wide variety there. The third thing, like I said, when we told them out there on site at the pre-construction meeting, it was mandatory that everybody be there. The shore guard sheeting, and that's the corrugated sheeting that you see at a lot of marinas for the seawalls they use now. And we picked that because it is a plastic or, material that won't rust, rot, or decay over time. The wood nowadays, as you see on the boardwalk, that doesn't hold up. The steel sheeting that goes in, that's too corrosive with the salt water. So this material was recommended by an engineer firm that would hold up, and they use it a lot, and whatever. So that's number 4 on your list here. You'll see that everybody was pretty close on the square feet on that. At least they got that number right. But the prices, the low bidder had $13 a square foot install, and that includes buying the material, bringing it on site, and the installation of the material. And that's going to require a mini excavator with like a tamper type device on top to vibrate it down in the soil. So that's, and every other bidder was at $40, $40, and $50. So that was pretty consistent, at least that number with the 40, 40, 40, and $50. Every other number except for the low bidder. So I called the manufacturer because I was curious. I'm like, man, how can this guy be this cheap putting it in if everybody's at 40? To buy the material, just to buy it without taxes and shipping it here is $8 a square foot. So that kind of gives you an idea what he's paying. All the people that bid this kind of got the price from the same place, so all of them are paying $8 a square foot. The other seemed to me they put the 40 in there to cover their labor and, to put it in and anything that might go wrong, because I don't know if it's going to, we don't know if it's going to drive right in, so it's a little cushion. So 13, I don't even know if it's possible to do it for that price. So I'm kind of leery, like I say, once we get out there with these low bid prices, that contractor is going to be able to do it for that. Looking at that and calling that, looking at those items, like I say, that's almost at cost. To me, is it worth taking a chance on that, or do we go with a more uniform price that we think is pretty standard? Which the second closest bidder, his unit prices were, instead of $3 for the asphalt, he was at $10 for removal. He was at $14 for, cubic foot of backfill. He's at $20 for paving. And he's at $40 for the shore guard, sheeting, installing and driving it. So, I mean, it's kind of a tough one here. I think the low bid is too low. I mean, in my honest opinion, like, I don't see how it can be. The grant is for
150.
so.
Oh.
Second,
A lot of these. Is
Well, I
that
did-
true?
I'm sorry.
Did you ground truth? I mean, because these numbers are all over the place, and like you talked to some of the
I did
Suppliers.
call a marine contractor
Right.
because I was so all over the place, so curious. And I said, hey, can you tell me, like, what, in your opinion, like, what would you normally charge to drive a piece of sheeting? Yeah, we got 8-foot sheeting. We're doing in this type of area. What's going on? And they came back, they didn't even know the other prices, and they were at $42 a square foot. So that made me kind of feel like, that's kind of the right range for putting the material in. Because you figure that we don't have any other place in there for labor. So to me, that's where, if I'm estimating a job, that's where you're gonna put your labor at. That's the bulk of the job, really driving that, make sure it goes straight, make sure it's not like you get there and just put it in. You gotta make sure you're driving it straight, make sure you don't hit something going in, hit a rock or whatever. So you have to put like a beam across the bottom that you're driving against. So for like, $5 to me a square foot, it's like you don't have enough labor money in there to cover that. That's just, and like I said, I did talk to a marine contractor and he was at $42. So I felt like, and then that area, Phil can tell you, it's not like you can pull up with a machine. Everything's gonna have to hand carried and hand placed around there. So it's not like you can, because of the flower beds are right there. So it's gonna take a little finagling to get in there. It's so tight. We have been in there, but the Bobcat before to, do some stuff. The mini excavator like barely fits, so you gotta take a mini excavator, then it's gonna be time consuming because you can't just pull straight up to it, drive a sheet. Fire beds there, you got a 5-6 foot bike path to work off of. You're gonna have to pull up asphalt, move down, pull up asphalt, move down, kind of do it as you go thing, in my opinion, so.
Hey, DB, in your, in the board docs that everybody has and also the public has, we have two numbers in here. We have the breakdown of the actual square footage or length that DB and Phil came up with. Exactly content, but right, well, and then the other part is the actual bid, and we can't explain why the numbers are so off. What we need to do is we went back and looked at their numbers, and then we looked at the work on the job, and that's how your numbers came up.
I actually estimated, like I was an estimator, came up with the numbers I thought it would be and then put unit prices in there that the contractor had. And came up with a lot closer numbers if we do it that way.
What is like the range of, how do I say it? If they underestimated it?
Yeah.
I mean, is there like a padding or what is the rule on that?
I think if they do the job correctly, like the project should come out around $75,000. Like if it's done 70 to 75 in that range. And like if you do it right, take your time, put it in, so
Right.
it's long, gonna last. Pave it right, because all that paving has to be done. They can't bring a paving machine in there. You're gonna have to hand place and roll that because of the tight area there. You might be able to get a mini paver in there, if you rent one, but I don't know, most pavers, that's kind of like
Right.
definitely a paver, a small paver that's made for a bike path, so you'd have to have access to that, so it's not cut and dry either, so, but if you use the quantities if I went by the plans, and if I bid it per the plans and per the pre-bid meeting, I could come up with pretty good numbers, and I could make a lot more even if I used their unit price numbers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, is there a way that they could come out after we choose a contract, they come out and say, no, you owe us more?
No.
I
This-
mean,
this way this
that's my
contract-
thing, like, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
the way this contract's written, and you kind of like, it's plus and minuses to it, but I'm there every day, Phil's every day. So we measure like the asphalt they take up, and that's what you get paid on. So
Okay.
that was clear at the pre-bid meeting. Like if we only use, say, just for a round number, we use 800 square feet of asphalt for removal, that's what you're getting paid your unit price number for.
Okay,
No matter what the really bid comes in, you're getting paid on the actual work that's done and the
okay,
material that's used and
okay,
put in place.
okay.
So like
That's
the
good to know.
Shore guard sheeting, we
Right.
measure that every day, we'll take measurement, you got 8-foot pieces.
Yeah, so there's like no overage purchase and then we're kind of stuck with, you know what I mean?
This is good. I like using this kind of unit prices because it also gives us the ability to, like, if we do, find another spot and they're going along, we don't have to worry about rebidding. We can say, okay, we already got a number.
Right,
If you want to do 20 more feet or 40 more feet, we know what it's going to cost. So go
Okay.
ahead and do it. We got money left in the grant. So we
okay,
could do additional work if we needed to too. So it's kind of a plus minus thing when you do a unit price like that.
okay,
You can control it. And then like the backfill, we measure, when it gets ready to backfill, we'll measure, okay, it's 20 feet wide, it's, 50 feet long. And that's how many cubic feet it'll be. So you get paid on your bid number.
okay,
Yeah. Like if you put in $14, like one of the guys did, we multiply that out and that's what you get paid. You're actually gonna
okay,
get paid in place. That's the way that this is gonna work. Even though they have totals in there, it's still gonna count on what's in place.
right, okay, yeah, because you had mentioned a second ago, you're like, yeah, we're not sure once we get here how much
Yeah, you
we
take,
got, yeah, so,
That's
okay,
right.
that makes sense.
yeah, like what's under the asphalt,
Right.
we've seen a couple places, but you can't really see how much it's eroded.
Right,
Because that's the area where the water comes over when we get the heavy rains at Fifth Street,
mm-hmm,
comes over the barbed wire, curls under. And it's no wall or nothing there to stop the, dirt from caving in, sand from
Sure.
caving in. So it might be a big void under there that just hadn't, the bike
Sunk.
path hadn't collapsed yet, or
Exactly.
it might be.
luckily,
Yeah, right. So that's what
okay,
we don't know. And that was the hardest number, was what the backfill's gonna be. And
Okay.
everybody knew that, but, I thought the guesses would be closer, more uniform. But that's why if we have a price, we know like we're paying you $14 no matter what
right,
in
okay.
place. If you
Sounds-
pay $200, that's a big difference.
Yeah, well, exactly, that's what I'm
And that could
saying.
make a low bid look like
That's-
an astronaut.
Right, that's what I'm trying to figure out here, so,
Yeah.
okay.
That's the problem I have with that, the unit price, like everything else is so cheap. Why would,
Mm-hmm,
like if you go to Sneed's, like a wheelbarrow, I mean, that holds about 6 cubic feet probably. I mean, that would be like, you're paying $1,200 for that. If you go by that unit price. That's what scares me about that. That's kind of what, everything else looks cheap, but that be a way.
Which one do you recommend?
I would recommend that I'm waiting on some callbacks from a reference, but the WES Incorporated, that put the bid in, it was kind of, and the reason I say that, I looked at all these pretty close, like their numbers, and his bid, his calculations, they came up even with as close to what I came up with. If you actually look at the job, it shows me that he went out and actually measured the job, looked at the job a little bit more detail, instead of just looking at the plans and from the office put a bid in. Kind of, he's been on, looks like to me he's been on site. I'm waiting, like I say, I will definitely either shoot you on email or tell you first thing next week about the references. Call back on, called 2 places. One reference I did get a call back, and that was paving of a bike path over in Salisbury at a, hospital in Salisbury, like commercial government type facility. And he did get a very good reference for paving. But that was more, placed in CR6 and just paving. But he did, the gentleman I talked to said that's one of the bigger jobs he did. He has a couple other jobs and he said no problem, showed up on time and completed his work in a timely manner.
What other questions council have? We do, you can see on the sheet, we have the estimates, and then the second one is the numbers they submitted. DV went back, took their square footage, their linear foot to come up with the actual numbers, and that's why you have this sheet here. I expect, we've been under there, we've crawled under there, we've taken the boards up, and there probably will be some stuff we find that there's no way to know until we dig it up. But we do know that this is the main area, what we believe, but we do have the ability, if we have to go 20 feet, 10 feet more because of what we're finding, we have it in here, or we have the funds in there. Any questions for him about any of these?
What's the current scope of start, stop on the bike path?
It from the concrete ramp to go on the beach at
Okay.
the north end to the concrete ramp on the south side,
Okay.
past the Welcome Center, like kind of right in front
Yeah,
of the
okay.
main pier. But from ramp to ramp, it's like, if you go to the outside of each ramp, it's 150 feet. Inside's like 133. So we'd like to start at one end because when you drive at Shore you should start at one end and work, with the scene going on.
Mhm.
Probably start at the,
Do we think we're gonna hit any of the utilities to the Welcome Center?
Definitely.
Like, I'm just thinking like that's up at,
Without a doubt.
that's up at like 4,
Nah,
yeah, that's up at like 4 feet. So I'm just thinking the water and sewer line there, I'm not too sure what depth they're at.
one of the bidders actually was concerned, so they, called in, Miss Utility Locate, so they've already been located. And
Okay,
at the pre-bid, we said, look, this is a hand dig area from here to here. That's why I was kind of shocked at the 20
That
cubic feet.
$3
'cause
one.
If you backfill even that little area, that's your backfill's gone. So then the rest of the void, you could see where the bike paths are caving in. I mean, to me, if I was bidding, I would have said, dump truck load. You're gonna get a dump truck come down anyway. So whatever, a dump truck will hold like 270 cubic feet. I mean, you buy one load for $800, like, what's the big deal? So that's the way I would have looked at it, but I don't know why. Explain why they looked at it the way they did, really. We would like to get we told them, we'd like to be done before, have a couple weeks at least before Memorial Day. So we hopefully vote on it next week and then we're planning on starting like right away, trying to get with Alyssa and get a contract to them like ASAP. So we can start. Now, that's why when we got all these numbers, we were looking at, but we really don't want to prolong it because, seasons upon
Right.
time's flying by.
So before Memorial Day and then estimated time to do the,
Well, we hope to be finished by Memorial Day.
oh, you had to be finished.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
start and be
Okay, I thought
finished.
you meant start.
Nah,
I
that's
said,
why
oh,
that's why we wanted the bids due. We wanted to have the discussion tonight, award it
Right.
next Thursday and tell
Okay.
them Friday they can start.
I see. Okay.
Kind of joking, but as soon as we get the contract to them, as soon as y'all vote, yes, no, or whatever, then I'd like to give them the notice by Monday anyway to. Yeah, and then hopefully that'll give them, weather-wise, hope they don't have any bad weather. I don't see that. If they get there set up good, they could probably drive it in a week. Sheeting in there, drive it in a week. You got a couple of days. It's not a hard project. It's pretty simple. It's just a little complicated because where you work and what it is, and it's not straightforward because you can't see what's underneath the asphalt. But it's not, for a contractor, to me, it's not a big scope of work. You rent the right vibrator, and if if the cheating goes in easily, you could maybe drive that in 2 days even. If you get set up and you get rolling and you know what you're doing and you're familiar with driving it, it's not a.
So where are we at with repairing the flower beds down there?
Actually, I had a guy flew up from Miami today to meet me. And we did a walk of the town and it's a firm that did Park Sunrise Gardens. And they came up and we showed them the whole thing, showed them a condition. And I'm waiting for a concept to bring back to y'all. I told them we needed it ASAP to get on a concept. Whether we do it in phases or whether we do it whatever, but try to get a game plan together to attack them. We've been, repairing what we can in Public Works. I got 2 skids that 6x6 is in, but if you start looking at them, it's like, where do you stop? It's one after another. But this company, we finally got them on site today, walked through, kind of explained, we need to fix any ADA requirements we can while we're going through here. We'd like to put something in there, use a material that's more, just because the treated wood doesn't seem to hold up, but recommend material that'll hold up and then start.
Well, my concern is that if we spend this money to get the bike path done and then we have to repair the flower beds, then there's gonna be some damage naturally is gonna happen because you gotta pull those out. Now we gotta pay for more asphalt to take care of the flower bed. So I guess what I'm asking is why are we not doing the flower beds first and then the bike path second? And then that way we don't have to worry about any collateral damage happening to the bike path as they're trying to repair the flower beds.
The flower bids, what y'all voted on was to get the concept plan. That's the money that's in there to get a plan. I think what we're gonna find out is we're looking at maybe 7 figures to fix the flower beds. Having said that, this grant is in place now. It's a safety issue and there's no way that we're repairing the flower beds. They're not going to be repaired. What's in the plan from the capital projects that we talked about was replacing and changing. So the first thing we're doing is just getting a concept plan for y'all to look at. I think the replacement of the flower beds are years down the road. I don't see it happening anytime soon. Now, I'm not saying it won't happen. But really what we're doing now with the flower beds, between DPW and the waterfront is repairing them as we go along to get them back decent, which they are. There's some that needs, more work, but God bless you. What we want to do now is we have the grant in hand. It's a safety issue and there's no way we're going to get the flower beds done before Memorial Day. And
I mean,
that's the
it's a-
reason
It's a
why.
big project too. It's tied in with the flood action plan. I mean, that's, how much, a quarter mile?
I'm not saying not doing it, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
I think-
we'll definitely
I
have
know
to,
that's gonna take some time to get done, but
yeah, when we do that area, we'll definitely have to, we'll make sure that's protected, but we walked today and, I asked this guy not just for one concept, but 2 or 3, 4 or 5, to bring back to the council and then, like the mayor said, I see that taking a couple years in maybe phase 1, 2, 3, 4, because this is so long of a area. But, the company that looked at it also looked at what we can do for stormwater, because we had a meeting with DNR a couple weeks ago down in Calvert County. They came down, they had a whole new regime of people. They were like 40 people short. Now they're kind of getting back up to staff. And they said the new governor is really promoting them to get out. But what we were trying to do is tie a DNR grant possibly into, because of using their flower beds for nutrient removal. So this guy that came out today, he does a lot of that kind of work in Miami and Florida because they're all on the water like we are, and they're a lot more on the water. But the company that did the CPH, they have an office in Miami and one in Bowie.
So
But he
this
came
west-
up actually from Miami to look at those, and
So
I'd like
what-
to get a good concept so y'all can see, and then we can make some choices and get moving on it.
So West Incorporated, where's this company?
Oh, they're in
Not the fact that-
Chesapeake Beach. Yeah, they're a local company in Chesapeake Beach.
All right, Stratfield,
They
I
do.
think they're in DC.
Yeah, Stratus.
Yeah, I was able to look up theirs and looked like they've done quite a bit of work in Maryland and Delaware and Virginia, and a lot of it for the state and municipalities, so I couldn't find anything on the other company, but yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, Honeycomb they do this, but they're really known for their trees and stuff.
Yeah, I
And
know about that. company.
Yeah, yeah. And then Swim is a company that has done work around the town. And EDR, I'm not sure where they're located.
They're in, where are they at? They're up in like Rockville area, I think.
All right. So all good questions. Any other questions for DB or Phil or me or Stacy or anybody? All right. All right. Nope, we're good. We're good. So next week, right now, so just make sure we're clear, DB is recommended to the council to approve the contract with West, WES. Once you approve it, our wonderful attorney will do up the contract. We'll get it signed ASAP and get that thing secured before all of our guests show up to the town. Any other questions? If not, all right. Thank you, guys. All right. That was it for the work session. Now we need to I have a motion to go into closed session? Yes.
Give me a second so I don't mess it up. Move to go into closed session for, let's see, pursuant to the Maryland Code of Annotated General Provisions 3-305B7 to consult with staff consultants or other individuals about potential litigation.
Second.
There's more.
More, all right. To MD Code General Provisions and 3-305B8, the topic is a contract regarding which the town has a dispute as to the amount owed to the vendor. Did I miss anything that I need to put into that?
All right, so we have a motion.
Good.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Let's go. Thank you, Stacy. Great.